Hey everyone, Derrick here to give my personal thoughts on the recent news about the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Mainly that it's been revealed by Square-Enix that the game is actually going to be broken up into episodes. There's no news on how big the episodes will be or how many there will be, but this is going to be an episodic game. And the main reason for that, according to Square-Enix, is a data reason, which makes sense considering the scope of the original Final Fantasy VII in comparison to what's obtainable. If you want to squeeze all that content in, this is going to be a huge game, based only on the fact of what we've seen of the PlayStation Experience trailer. There is a lot more detail added to not only the characters, but the city of Midgar itself. There's new areas that you can explore and look around in, and everything's been expanded. So to get that level of detail across the entire game, it would be utterly massive. Now, of course, there's a cynical way to look at this and say this is just a way for Square Enix to nickel and dime us to get the entire game, and it might end up being more than $60. That's entirely possible, but this is a huge game, and I know this is crazy to say, but I want to give them the benefit of the doubt because I do understand that this game is very difficult to remake as far as keeping the scope of everything, and it's unknown whether they'll be adding more stuff to it, or if we're getting more of the some hints to the stuff that came afterward, like Crisis Core and Dirge of Cerberus and Advent Children and all of those games. It's very unclear, and there's so much they could do with this and make it either work or the worst thing that you can possibly imagine. It's all depending on your perspective on this, because there are a lot of people, and understandably so, disappointed that they don't have a single massive game to play through all of Final Fantasy VII, and I can totally get that. It is disappointing that they can't pull that off to any degree, at least as far as we know. Maybe when all the episodes are put together, there is that level of exploration. We don't know. We don't know very much about the 7 Remake, just hints and clues and what they've actually told us. Others are taking a more optimistic approach in that this actually might mean that we'll get the 7 Remake a lot sooner. Yeah, we'll get the first part, and then who knows how long we'll have to wait for the second part and so on. But again, I repeat what I said from the discussion I had earlier today on this remake itself. This has to be a high priority for Square. They're not going to leave big gaps in between. At least I don't think so. And I could either see them doing either the 3 discs of the original PlayStation game, but I don't quite see that happening because the final disc of Final Fantasy VII was mostly just the final boss plus all the extra content that you could do at that point, and there wasn't really much story sequences going on there. So I think they'll split it up in a slightly different way, pick the appropriate spots in order to stop and go from that point and whatnot. And who knows, they might even expand it by having all that extra content, potentially from Crisis Core or Advent Children or whatever, to add that in and give it more flavor, more connection, or more complete story and make everything make sense, hopefully. There's a lot of different ways that you can look at this, and I don't think anybody with any sort of view is wrong in their interpretation. There's all value in here. This could be this ruins the idea of people wanting to have a complete experience because they don't like episodic games. They want the whole thing there. This is a great way to get it quicker to the hands of fans. This is a way to add much more detail or add into the story or what have you. There's a lot of ways to interpret this, and I believe all of them are valid. It all really depends. The only thing I care about is if the game is good. I hope Square Enix is not going to overcharge everyone on the price of this remake and all the different episodes. I could totally see them going super detailed and maybe making the episodes even longer, where we get like 7 episodes where we cover specific story bits and then throw in the side quests to sort of flesh out those bits after you get out of Midgar and whatnot. It's an interesting development, and I don't have a solid opinion one way or another. I'm I am more optimistic about it, but I realize that there's a lot of ways that this can go wrong. There was a lot of ways this could go wrong before, but adding in the episodic content, now you have the possibility of delays between episodes, or a single episode not really feeling complete, or they're just being way too linear because you're taking out potentially the ability to explore anywhere you want in the world. Now, the way Final Fantasy VII was structured originally is somewhat linear, so as long as they keep you able to, as long as you're still able to take those other paths and explore those side content like Fort Condor, there's still ways that you can make this still feel like a actual remake of Final Fantasy VII rather than a reinterpretation of the events with new gameplay and trying to stick to the core story as much as you can while fleshing it out. There is a bit of a difference, of course. And really, that's it. I'm very cautiously optimistic about all this, and I think we have to wait and see what Square decides to do with the 7 release schedule, whether they're going to do it very quickly and they have it all ready and they just need more time for the later parts, or if there's going to be like 6 months gaps between all the different parts in 7. This could take a long time to release fully, and it could be just freaking massive, and hopefully Square Enix finds a balance between all of that so you're not paying too much. I mean, the ideal situation is to have it in 3 episodes, like the 3 discs, but not maybe, change things up so it's not at those exact parts where you stopped, and each one be $20. Buy all of them, you have a $60 game. Now, you might go, of course, more expensive. That's entirely possible, but we'll just have to wait and see. And that's all I can say. But I just thought I'd get my opinion out there since we have been talking about the 7 remake since the trailer came out, and I'm intrigued to see what they decide to do in the end. So I take my typical wait-and-see approach. I feel like that's the best way to handle this sort of thing. See how it all comes down and deal with the hand you're dealt. So with all that said, thank you guys for watching, and of course stay tuned to GameXplain for more on Final Fantasy and other things gaming as well. Alright guys, bye.